Good day and namaste to everyone who has joined the Spiritual Union webinar brought to you by the Arya Samaj Women's Forum. I am Varsha Bogle, Secretary of the Women's Forum. The Arya Samaj Women's Forum is committed to growing happy families. Today's webinar, The Spiritual Union, will focus on the relationship of married couples and the importance of translating wedding vows into action toward building a stronger, more fulfilling relationship. We have with us Pandit Sadhguru, who will present relevant wedding vows that focus on the friendship and partnership within a marriage. Pandit Sadhguru is a Vedic priest and has also served as chaplain on the South African National Defence Force. Pandit Sadhguru is currently the Vice President of Arya Samaj South Africa. If you have any questions or comments regarding Pandit Sadhguru's presentation, please put these in the chat box and you will get an opportunity to discuss these during the webinar. Pandit Sadhguru, over to you.
My Prem Namaste. My Prem Namaste to one and all of you. I'm sure, can you hear me?
Pandit Kiran, namaste. Yes, we can hear you. We have your presentation on video. So as soon as you do your introduction, we'll be playing the video.
Okay, cool. Well, my Prem Namaste once again, and I'm so pleased to be part of this webinar. And on behalf of Arya Samaj South Africa also, we do have other officials that have come on. But I take this opportunity on complimenting the Women's Forum for taking the initiative and presenting the Spiritual Union program. At the same time, it is a cause for concern, and we in the Arya Samaj, especially the School of Vedic Studies, we have incorporated into our curriculum the premarital counseling process, and also at the same time giving an opportunity to couples to have an opportunity with the priest to go through some of the topics in the premarital counseling process. But it's over to you, and it's good to be with you this afternoon or this morning still, and we will hopefully that we will come up with something very successful and something that can be of value to our communities. Thank you.
My Prem Namaste to you. I would like to just focus on a few parts of the Viva Sanskar. First one is when we say, Trasyatva Chakshushaha me Pratikshahe. This is when a bride and groom meet for the first time at the mandap. And this starts off in a very friendly manner. With the sharing of something sweet, the bride and the groom say to each other, let us look at each other as friends. The other aspect of our Viva Sanskar is very important, is the vows that one takes. I would like to reflect on the vow number 6, which says, we promise to love, to be kind to each other. We will always remain faithful and loyal. May our marriage be tempered with love and justice always. May we never do anything to harm each other. That is a commitment to the public and a commitment to each other. In saying those beautiful words, you are saying that we will be journeying together in life. A very simple ceremony, but a very effective one, is when the sharing of lava takes place. And as you know, when a bride enters into a new home, she is now entering into a new domain. And this could be quite daunting for a young bride, especially you're looking at society which is communally based. You have a matriarchal system. You have sisters and sister-in-laws that have already been there. And this can be very daunting for a new bride. So besides bringing two families together, the first offering of the lava says, may the separation of the bride from her family and entry to the groom's family be a happy one. That itself is telling the family, please welcome, love, and welcome with open arms the new member of our family. But the third offering is very appropriate also. It says affection and prosperity between the couple, just as the parched rice, when mixed, cannot be set apart, so may this union be forever. A very beautiful part also that enforces a relationship between a husband and wife. In conclusion, I would like to just say that we take 7 steps. And in the 7 steps that are taken, you are committing yourself not only to yourself, but to God and also to family and friends. And with the 7th step, we pray that in attaining all of the needs and wishes that we have, but the most important thing that comes to play is that may there always be love and friendship between the couple. And in conclusion, I would just like to say that there's a physical showing of a bride and groom placing their right hand on their left shoulder, which is closest to the heart. And in this beautiful gesture, they are both saying to each other, we commit ourselves to these vows wholeheartedly. May our minds, may our thoughts, and may our speech be directed to each other in unity. So dear friends, that is our Viva Sanskar, which is focusing on working together, living together, and having a successful and a loving relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Pandit Sadhguru, for your very beautiful and insightful presentation. As a reminder to the participants, please remember to write your questions or comments to Pandit Sadhguru using the chat function. To further explore the spiritual union, we have Dr. Sivila Ramklas, previous chairperson of the Arya Samaj Women's Forum, who will guide today's discussion. Dr. Ramklas has been a university academic for 28 years. She is currently a senior lecturer and researcher in the School of Clinical Medicine at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. In addition, she is the previous academic leader for teaching and learning at the school. Participants, please write questions or comments to Dr. Ramklas in the chat box. Please also use the hand up icon should you wish to discuss any points raised by the speaker during the webinar. Cyrilla, over to you.
Right, so namaste Varsha, namaste Pandit Sadhguru, and namaste to all of our participants. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're really taking on a huge project this time around for this year. We are using growing happy families as a theme that we are promoting throughout the year as part of our Women's Forum projects. And we start off this particular theme with today's webinar called The Spiritual Union. So this is one of 4 parts, actually. This theme will be broken down into 4 parts. And today we are starting off with part 1, which, as Varsha has mentioned, is the spiritual union. So we've all just heard Pandit Sadhguru. He did such a beautiful explanation of the vows. I wonder how many people actually know that when you're taking those vows in Sanskrit, you're actually committing to a love story. That's how beautiful it sounded. And it really, really was really thought-provoking when we heard it, when we heard this exposition, and we're planning this webinar. So what we're going to do today, you're not going to hear from us. We're not going to tell you how to live and how to grow a happy family. We want to hear from you. What are some of the strategies that you have been using in your married life, or that you have been observing perhaps in your community participation or in your families themselves, in terms of realizing those vows, those love story vows that Pandit Sadhguru just described for us, and tell us how you are translating them into practical actions in day-to-day life. And just to make this whole session a lot more easier and perhaps more interactive, we're going to do this slightly differently. We're going to present 3 different cases, situations which are common to us in our societies, in our homes, in our families. And we're then going to generate some discussion and then hear from you how you use what strategies have worked for you in terms of solving some of these everyday problems that we're encountering with amongst married couples, and let's help them on a more fulfilling path. So we're going to just share the screen now of case 1, and you'll also find that it's in the case is up in the chat as well. I'm just going to read it to you as soon as it's shared. Okay. Right. So I just want to say thank you to Varsha for putting together beautiful PowerPoints. But here's the case. So this is a case that involves home-life balance, right? And this is it. So Raksha and Rajiv are married for 6 months. They both have management jobs and are required to travel on different days of the month to different parts of the country. Both had these positions before they were married and could dedicate all of their time to their work because of help with the day-to-day chores from their parents and siblings. But in their married roles, Raksha and Rajiv are struggling to maintain a work-home balance, and frustrations are mounting. Sound familiar? Okay, so we would like to hear from you. How many of you have had experience with this kind of situation where you came from homes where the day-to-day activities were sort of helped with by parents, help at home, and now you're having to keep a home together and work and try to maintain a balance while still trying to actually get this marriage off the ground. I'm going to open the floor for discussion. So let's see, does anyone have a raised hand? Who would like to start off this conversation? Anybody with some ideas about how you managed this particular situation? Anyone?
Namaste, hello. Can I make a comment?
Yes, okay. Please go ahead.
So I have been married for a few months now. I actually got married last October. And some of the things that I have perhaps used is perhaps creating a roster. Sit down together with your partner and say, right, this is what our schedules are looking like. How can we accommodate one another so that we can have a more harmonious environment to live in instead of having all this conflicting negativity and arguments always surrounding our relationship? Because in that way, we need to understand that we will not progress and we will not make any headway. So a roster is a good idea. Something else. It is very important that both the male and the female, husband and wife, and yes.
Can I just stop you? I like this idea of roster. Can you tell us a bit more? Tell us what did the roster entail? What were in the columns? What were in the rows? What were the categories?
Okay, so perhaps let's take cooking as an example. We all want to come home to a nice, lovely meal at the end of the day. Often both husband and wife are tired. So perhaps we could have certain days of the week where the husband cooks and certain days of the week where the wife cooks. Or perhaps we say, you know what, maybe the wife may say, you know what, this is a lot for me. How about we do it together? But perhaps then the husband can say, well, you know what, I have lectures every day of the weekend. They only end at 7 o'clock. But where we can come together and have a common ground understanding is that perhaps thereafter we both get into the kitchen together and prepare the meal together, and something like perhaps laundry. In the morning it is a bit hectic, so we have one person doing it on one day and another person doing it on another day. Stuff like that, I think, is helpful in a household.
So, Karine, how's that working for you? Is the roster working? Is it successful?
It has been successful. It is, I think, initially, you do have difficulty in trying to reach agreement on where the compromise is going to come in, because marriage has so much to do with compromise. And I think that is what especially the younger generation don't want to do. And that is why there's so much of conflict and arguments taking place. As our scenario has shown us, is that nowadays we have both males and females holding such high positions in their working environments. And I think it's so important that both husband and wife understand that, for example, the husband has to understand that this is who I'm marrying, this is her work, and this is what is expected of her in her work. And I need to be there as somebody who's going to support that.
Sorry, Karine, I'm just in the interest of time, trying to summarize. Look, we are looking for strategies going forward, right? So, can we just say that the communication at the outset is important? That the roster you talk about is trying to get a structured plan in place. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
And is that what you're also sharing, and the success of that has worked for you, and that you don't see the laundry or the cooking is just the wife's sort of role, that in fact it has transcended those boundaries now, and then even if the day somebody doesn't cook, I'm sure we can get takeout, and then that's easily accessible.
Yes, and I think also one more point is just individual reflection. Each one needs to think of it beforehand and then come together and discuss. So communication within ourselves is also very important.
Okay, lovely. I like this idea. Thank you very much for sharing that. Can we have can we have another contribution or a comment to Karine's suggestion, which I think is really fabulous? Anybody?
I think Prabodh Bhai.
Yeah, okay, let's go, Prabodh Bhai. How's that working for you, Prabodh Bhai?
Thank you, Cyrilla, and thank you for all participants. So the points made by the previous speaker are very valid. I understand she's married for a few months. I've been married for over 30 years. So it's a good thing that collectively, whether it's you or the spouse, and then subsequently when your children come through, you share the house chores. You must share house chores. Everybody feels that they are making a collective effort in running the house. Some may have some plus points, some minus points, but you share it collectively. There's an understanding, and in my case, I think we are doing quite well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, so again, it really does boil down to communication. Is that your hand? No, is Prabodh Bhai, is that an old hand? Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the audience before I ask Kiran Satkar to give a comment? Anyone else?
Cyrilla Benji, I have one of the most recently ordained priests that is here. She's Anisha Ramratan, and she would like to make a comment.
Yes, please go ahead. Namaste, Panita.
Namaste, namaste, my friend, namaste to one and all. Thank you for such a wonderful forum and for giving us all the opportunity to be a part of it. Firstly, I'd like to say I'm married for 17 years. I'm 43 years old. I have three children. One is 12, one is 10, and my baby is 2. I'm sure you'll have seen her at satsang through Zoom and stuff like that. My husband is a technician, so he's on the road the entire day. I'm an attorney and I work for the Department of Justice, so my job is also quite demanding. Life is not easy. It's getting harder by the day because the demands are getting more. My kids, as they're getting older, their demands are getting much more. We don't have too much of time as a married couple, so we have the glitches in between. As much as we say, communication is the key and all of that, from Monday to Friday, it's extremely difficult, and that is the honest truth. So whoever gets home first, we plan supper or we plan for the next day, we sort out the kids' school clothing. We try between the both of us and we equally do things. My husband he cooks, he cleans, he washes the toilets and the bathrooms. We do things together. There's no such thing as he does something because he's a man and I'm supposed to do something because I'm the female. He can change the baby's nappies, he can bath. In fact, he's more hands-on because I'm busy and all over the place, but he's understanding. So commitment is important, understanding is important, along with communication, and it all boils down to sitting together and working it out. There's many challenges along the way, and it's not easy when you have, small kids. Everyone's everyone's expectations, needs, wants are different. A lot of people have asked me, how do you manage? Because I'm still studying Dharma Praveen with Kiran Bhai. I still manage to do my Purohit course. It all boils down to, there has to be that understanding and that give and take.
Yes.
And, at the end of the day, it's not easy, but together you can achieve a lot. I mean, we're
Okay,
still a
so
young couple.
sorry,
And we still
Pandita. Sorry, Pandita. I just want to stop you there. I really would like people to go away with concrete ideas about what it takes to actually sitting. What does it mean to actually sit down and communicate? Because very often we talk about, well, we have to communicate. If you listen to the priest, you listen to whomever, and they talk to married people, they often say, well, communication is important. But for me, the more important thing is overcoming the barriers to communication. And I'd like to know if you can share with us what were some of the barriers you might have envisioned, and how did you overcome those to get to this point of a balance between your husband and yourself in terms of the sharing of chores.
Okay, look, the challenges along the way, as I said, you hardly get time to communicate with each other at home. Having these children around, having to be able to do your chores for the next day, sort yourself out. So with us, and I also personally get a bit irritable because work is work and it's a professional environment. But my husband has this thing where he contacts me at work,
Mm-hmm.
and then we like what we're doing later on, what we need to do, how we do it. It may not be the best platform, but it works for us because
Okay.
it's difficult
Mm-hmm.
to do all these things. Because when you're talking about something that you need to do or you need to achieve by the end of the week or for the next day, somebody wants something. It's mom, mom, mom. Oh, I got a class to attend to. Oh, he's on call or he's on standby. It's extremely difficult.
Okay.
So that's what works for us. We try and communicate during the day. Um, Modern technology now,
Sorry, Panita,
all those.
sorry, Panita, I'm just wanting to also ask, how frequently do you communicate? I think that's the other thing, is the frequency of communication. So how often do you communicate? Because really, if you have large, if there are lots of gaps in communication, then that in itself becomes a barrier, right?
Yes, yes. No, we communicate on a daily basis, but my what I'm trying to get across is daily you cannot discuss everything that's worrying you. Today's discussion will be about tomorrow. Tomorrow's discussion will be about the next day. That's how you get through the week.
Okay.
Even when it comes to preparations of your meals and stuff like that, it's who gets home first. But during the day, it's already discussed between us what we're cooking. We don't have lavish meals in the week. We can't, simply because we have quick things. So we have time also for our children in the afternoon where we sit and talk to them about school, sign their homework. We need to know what's going on in their lives. So it's extremely important. We do communicate, but in terms of like serious issues, that's left for the weekend.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. It's really valuable. I just want to ask another question, just based on this particular scenario. Can you see these people, as Rajiv and Raksha, extremely busy, right? They sometimes are at home, and when they're home, they're having to deal with other the day-to-day chores. How do you, as married couples, how do you find time for each other? Because again, as like we've heard from Karine and we heard from Pandita now, that it's very, the conversation becomes chore focused or situation focused. How do you make time for yourselves? Because that is, I'm just going to give somebody else an opportunity to respond, if you don't mind, Pandita. Can we get a response from, how do you get time to find time for yourselves? Because that really is the cement for any relationship, is talking to each other about each other. Anybody would like to contribute? I see Shabana Singh. Would you like to respond? Hello? No. Okay.
Namaste, Sarala Ben.
There you are.
Sorry. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm married just over 38 years. Well, I grew up, my 3 kids, and they married off. We always made time for each other, whether it was between our chores or with helping our children with homework. But it's important that you make the time to communicate, tell each other the value of each other, appreciate all the little things, show appreciation for all the little things. On birthdays, make it special for each other. And if you can, go out and have special time together, get in-laws to help. I think, you need to have a support structure whereby you can leave your kids with someone in safe hands and spend a few minutes on a few hours on your own, because that is very important. And I tell it to my daughter as well. She's got a set of twins, and I say, do that. Whenever I get a chance, I go up there and help her with her kids so that they have time for each other. It's important because young couples today lose each other because of the lack of communication and the lack of time spent with each other. That I think is very important.
Yes, I think you make a very, very critical point, is that we have to find time for each other. And I like your suggestions. And I see it resonates with what Jay is saying in the chat box, which says that perhaps we should we still have date nights once we married? And I think that's what you're saying, Shabanaji, that yes, in fact, we should go out on dates still, right?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to, I'm in the interest of time. We have 2 other cases, and I'm going to leave this for now, and we'll come back to it in our later question and answer session. And maybe by then you two would have some other thoughts on this. But we're going to now share case 2, which is another scenario that you would probably be familiar with. Let's see it. Okay, so Kajal and Santosh are married for 10 years. They have an 8-year-old son, Pradeep, and a 6-year-old daughter, Pari. Kajal is a housewife and has a strict religious upbringing, being the daughter of a priest. Pradeep is a sports coach and a soccer player at club level. Kajal insists that the children pursue classes for religious education during the weekends. Pradeep expects the children to pursue rugby and football instead. How do you decide which extracurricular activities your children pursue, and how is this negotiated? All right, so I'll give you just a moment to take a look at this, and then I'll open the floor for comments. All right, Kiran Bhai, have you had experience of this in your engagements with the couples in the community? Is this a common issue?
Well, we are experiencing that at the moment, especially when you look at our cultural activities, religious activities. We do find that there is a drop in youth representation, because we find that, and this is happening quite often when we ask parents, can you send your children for, say, a yajak course or a basic Hinduism course? Oh no, they have extracurricular, they're doing this, they're going for maths classes, and they're doing various other activities after school. So this seems to be a challenge at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting one because it has a huge impact on the cultural, spiritual, and religious side to the children, not now, but when they are out of the nest and when they move out of the community. That's when they start searching and they start looking at their parents. What do we do for this prayer? What do we do for this? My wife is pregnant. What sanskars do we have to perform? So I think in the interest of further discussion, let's get input from others in terms of why children are not coming for classes and what is the challenges that they are facing. I know we have successful classes here, but the numbers did drop because of COVID. But we've reintroduced our basic Hindu classes, and we've got some youngsters that are coming in on a Wednesday afternoon, learning some Hindi but more basic Hinduism. And then we have the Yajak program, which is running.
Okay. Kiran Bhai, we're going to do an ad break on that just now, but I just want to go back to this case, right?
So that's, yeah.
Yeah. So the point, the point I make here is I want to know really from people on the call, how do you negotiate this in your own home? How do you prioritize which is the more important one? Because this then can become an area of conflict between the husband and wife in terms of each one of them seeing their particular their activity being important, right? And then we have a comment in the chat which says, but what about the children's, what about the choice of the children, right? And Jackie, is Jackie on the call? Do you want to just expand on your comment, or Deepika? Any one of you? No? Deepika, are you there? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the point, what we're wanting to know here is, so if you're sitting in Kiran Bhai's chair right now, he's going to tell you, you need to come for these religious classes, right? If you're sitting in somebody else's chair, they're going to say, I need for you to come and pursue the sporting activity. How then are parents negotiating this with their children is what I'm asking. How did you negotiate this with your children? Yes, I agree that kids should be given a chance to choose. Yes. How are we helping them make that choice though? How are we as parents helping them make a choice? Because remember, already the husband and wife are at odds about what should be important. Right? Already husband and wife are at odds. How then would the child make that choice? Ishana, would you like to comment?
Hi, Surela.
Hi, Shana.
For me, I have a daughter, and basically she's been involved in cultural stuff and her dance stuff. And what I did when she was very little is I let her be exposed to whatever she wanted to try. And the choice was basically hers as she progressed. And both my husband and I had the same opinion. We actually had a discussion about, at one point, both of us felt maybe there's too many things, but it's the husband and wife has to have a discussion and then leave the decision to the child. And they can try out as many things as they want to until they find a spot that they're comfortable in. But I do think that the discussion between the parents and the agreement that they should, want to let the child try for themselves is also important.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. But the important thing here is that your husband and you had a discussion about this, right?
Yes.
It wasn't something that was imposed upon Dia, right? So
Yes.
so what was the? Can you just give us a brief overview of the discussion? What was that discussion like?
Well, it starts off like, as your child grows, you see what their strengths are, what their likes are, what their dislikes are. You kind of, when they're in that age group, 6, 7 years old, they have choices that they express to you. So I think the discussion would be like about the partners discussing what they think the child's preference is, what the child has expressed to them, and then saying, okay, that in terms of like say for dance, she has this passion and she's always going around the house and wanting to play the music and wanting to dance. So let's let her do dance as compared to art. She's only doing art in school and she's not doing it when she comes home. She's doing it for projects or something for school. So, let's not let her pursue art outside of school. But she wants to do dance and, she shows an interest in that. So I think it's like kind of those kind of things that you'd have to notice and discuss about that.
Okay. All right. So again, it's the communication that's so important, right?
Yes, it is.
It's not about who has the loudest voice, and that's the person that's going to win the toss. Okay.
Yeah. But that sometimes tends to be also a problem, with some people. Some people want to have the loudest voice, especially when it comes to sports because it's so competitive. So if a person was a sportsman in their young days, they'd want to push their child in that direction as well. So sometimes there is that tendency to have the loudest voice because maybe it's something that one of the parents wanted to do and they see that sort of a talent in their child.
Yeah, so as this is exactly as the case presents. I'm just going to give Jackie a chance to comment. Thank you, Ishana.
Okay.
Hi, is it me now?
Yes, that's you finally. Thank you.
Sorry, I was having trouble connecting the sound, etc. Okay.
Me.
Sorry, say again.
I'm just saying you're here now, so let's chat.
Okay, I just want to, from a personal experience, okay, I'm Hindu, I married out of my religion, and I've got 2 children, and both the kids were given a chance to experience both religions, and both the kids chose Hinduism. Out of their own free will. And I think it came because we didn't enforce it upon them. My husband didn't enforce his religion upon them. I didn't enforce my religion upon them. But it was a case of monkey see, monkey do kind of a thing, audio visual. They saw what I did and they chose to follow me. And both of them are practicing Hindus. My daughter is a professional dancer. So there was a lot of dance activities we had to attend to, for her dance. We had a lot of lessons, etc., to take her to, and gigs, and we're still doing it, even though she's 20. But we gave her the freedom of choice. And I think with instilling good values, communication, and morals, they were able to choose properly or make better decisions in their life, religiously and in the Western world. So my daughter, just one last comment. My daughter, although she may not go to the temple every day, she is somebody who will not break her fast no matter what the circumstance is. So I think it's basically inculcating the values and the morals and principles, not necessarily enforcing it. You tell them right from wrong and give them an opportunity to make their own decision. And if they do stray, you correct them. I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm just saying that's the scenario in my house.
No, but thank you for that. But I think important is the fact is the conversation that transpired between your husband and yourself.
Exactly.
The choice. So I think that's the issue here, is how do we overcome these which can become very controversial issues in a home. If the child pursues a particular activity over the other parent's choice, for instance.
So communication is the key. And likewise, I said, you put forward both the husband's opinion and the wife's opinion. Give the child a chance to choose. Let them indulge in that activity. If it's not working, then you sit down again, you regroup and say, these are the reasons it's not working. The child is unhappy. It's inconvenient for the child. The time is inconvenient. Let's try and do another activity. We will still try and inculcate some of your values that you think are important. Now, but you've given a very varied example here, like sport, which is an outdoor activity, and cultural, which is something that can be done from within the walls of your house,
Yeah. So this is the real world, right? So this is what's happening currently. But look, people are. I think for me, the important thing is how we mediating these issues amongst the husband and wife, because ultimately, as the parent, you are the guiding light in your child's life. So you're going to have to present the pros and cons of either before they can actually make a choice. It's because you speak from a position of experience. So I hear where you come from, but thank you for your comments. I appreciate that.
No
Does anyone else want to add a comment at this point? Jay, do you want to bring that out? Do you want to just speak to your comment in the box?
Yeah, it's just reiterating what the previous speakers have mentioned. It's about knowing what your family values are, what's important for you, and communicating that. Let's have family meetings together. I think, we can talk to each other. As Jackie said, the couple needs to sit together and communicate and know where we're going. Let's see, the family sometimes is like a business, and each person in the family is a part of a machine, and we want that machine to go in a certain direction. And to do that, we need to talk and communicate with each other. And the previous speaker mentioned about exposing children to various options and then recognizing their talents. And then when we communicating and having these family meetings, to bring it out and talk about it and see what works and what doesn't.
Okay. Yeah. For that, we need more than an hour for this webinar somehow, I feel. But nonetheless, we're on to case 3. We're going to have a session. We will have some time a little later on. Let's talk to case 3. Okay. Right, here it is. So this is on financial planning. Pramod Bhai, I hope you're all ears. Here it is. Aka and Jitesh are 50. Okay, sorry. They are both in employment and plan to retire together at the age of 60. They are looking forward to their retirement, but with mixed emotions. So I asked of you, audience, how did you plan together for your years of retirement? And what financial planning and advice did you access to make decisions to support you during your retirement? Okay, so I'll just give you a moment to read that and get a sense and collect your thoughts. Okay, right. So, Prabodh Bhai, your hands up. Go ahead. Yep. Unmute, Prabodh Bhai.
Thank you, Sarila. So, extremely important area of one's life. Few points. The starting point would be that you must seek the advice of a financial advisor. We probably may be experienced and experts in our own field, but financial advisors know more than you about these matters. That's the first point. Second, yeah.
Sorry, Prabodh, stop right there. I just want to ask, you make such an important point, right? But I want to ask, at what point in the marriage, at what age should we be seeking the advice of a financial planner for retirement purposes? At what age in our marriage?
Sorry, I think our internet issues are a bit weak, but hopefully you can hear me. So the idea is to start as early as possible, and statistics show that at a point in time where retirement ages are now from any time 55.
I think we've lost Prabodh Bhai.
Yeah, we've lost Prabodh Bhai. Sorry, Prabodh Bhai, we've lost you. If you can just continue writing your comment in the chat, and then we'll take the discussion from there. Anybody else? Adiben, do you want to comment on this? Just in terms of retirement, because we know that there are lots of people who are in retirement currently that are feeling the pains of inadequate finances. And do you think we should have had this discussion early on in our marriage, perhaps?
Yes, definitely, Sarah. Thank you for giving me a chance. I like the program so far. Very informative. We're going to put this down in writing. I hope you know that. Planning for retirement, I think, should start at the very beginning. As priests, when we do our premarital counseling, we talk about that as well. We talk about financial planning, retirement, putting together the different funds that come into the income. You know, all of that must be discussed at the very beginning, so there's no problems and everybody knows where they are. I think that's very important, because later on in life, you know, this is where you get the friction and the breakups coming in, because in most cases, one partner is earning more than the other. And this causes a lot of conflict in a married life. So for happy families to grow happy families, I think this has to start at the very beginning. When they're planning to marry, they need to discuss all of this and then get into it. This also brings in, I should have commented on this earlier on your last topic. This also brings in the case of people of two different religious affinities. They've got to discuss that as well before they get into marriage. So thank you, Sarala.
Okay, thank you for your comment. I appreciate that. All right, so again, so as we've heard, that the conversation about financial planning starts right at the beginning. And in our earlier discussions, you know, which we had with our own team, Deepika within our team said to us how important it was to discuss financial matters right at the beginning, because very often it is the financial matter that actually destroys a marriage, and that's usually a prime cause for friction in a marriage. Okay, Prabodh Bhai is back. Let's hear you, Prabodh Bhai.
Yeah, sorry, issues. Sorry about I think it was Deepika speaking. 100%. You start from the beginning as soon as you start earning a reasonable income. So different forms: retirement annuity funds, provident fund, pension fund. And the stats that shows these days is that regardless of when you start, at the time that you retire from the age of 55 onwards, 55, 60, 63, 65, there's actually not sufficient monies that you can run your life with. So one target you must set, that before you retire at the age of 55, we normally have two principal assets, the home and the car. Make sure all your long-term liabilities at the age of retirement are all paid off, one. Two, that you have sufficient income just to sustain yourself, because, cost of living, everybody knows along the way. And always review your financial planning on an annual basis. Don't leave it to the financial planner, because he probably will earn some commission and he'll never come back to you. It's your responsibility. Am I going to be okay at the age of 55 when me and my spouse are going to be? And you may want to downscale. You may have a big fancy house, and after the children are gone and married and whatever, downscale. There's nothing wrong with that along the way. Have some extra money that you could perhaps in your old age go out for a holiday together that you couldn't manage. Starting from day one, when you start earning some money, regular income, start planning from that. Thank you.
Okay, no, before you go, don't go. Are you still there? Yeah, I just ask one question. So you did say that annually we need to review our financial status, right? But like we can review that, but what are the indicators? What should we be looking for? So if we're reviewing it, what are such a benchmarks should we be looking for in terms of, okay, when I'm 65, this is the amount of money I should have available just to live, not even to go on a holiday, but just to live. How does the street get that indicator?
Yeah, very good question, Celia. So two things. One is, remember, as you advance in age, you perhaps will have promotions coming your way. You perhaps will have increases in your salary. That's one, right? And then if you need to do your monthly budgets, me and Rita have done it from the year that we got married along the way, right? And we monitor that. I have 11 nephews and nieces. From 51 to Kriti at 26, everyone, I'm an accountant, so everyone has a budget. And once I set them up in the budget, 1, 2, 3 years, they manage the budget. They come and tell me, Mama or Nana, I can't do this because I don't have that money. Then I know the person is now financially responsible. But I say annual review, much of our investments these days, other than if you put it in a fixed deposit in a bank, they'll give you 6%. But if you put it in unit trust and you put it in providence funds and all that, they invest it on the share market. Share market, it's got a little bit of risk involved. So if you don't engage a financial advisor, you're thinking that you're earning a good a retirement at the age of retirement, that will be okay. But these markets, last 3, 5, 10, 20 years, go up and down. So you want what we call an ROI, a reasonable return on your investment that is above inflation. So if inflation is at 6%, if you're getting a 6% return, then you basically, as you are on day one. So you want something higher than inflation, maybe 8, 10, 12, 15%, higher the better along the way. And then you need to have the financial advisors accountable that they're earning you. Remember, if you don't engage them, they'll just park the thing and look for new business. Your job is to say on an annual basis, what is my return on my investment? So you can engage them, change funds, and that's why it's important. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I think we have to have a whole other discussion on that again. I see Rahul is giving us a link here to Discovery as a financial advisor. Thank you very much.
Cyrilla Ben, there's a hand up.
Okay.
I think it was Rina.
Okay, so we're getting some feedback. I think Prabodha and Rita Ben, if you're sitting close together, I think we just can only have one unmuted at a time, please. Okay, the hands down now, Rita Ben. Okay, I just want to take, just comment in the box. Can I just Rahul, what is this 4% rule? Can you explain this?
Yeah. No. You asked what, like, how would you know? So there are like a few indicators, like, home calculations that you can do at home.
Yeah.
Which can give you like a rough indication of whether, because obviously, as Prabodh Bhai mentioned, there are financial planners, but, in some cases, their advice is not frequent enough. So you can also just evaluate your savings and have a look at, how you're tracking before you retire. I'm not a financial advisor or a planner, but I do look into these things from time to time. And the 4% rule is one of those indicators that you can easily calculate at home just to see, if you are tracking well. And basically all you need to do is draw up a simple budget, like, your own budget based on what your needs and requirements are. And then calculate, using the described method. There's a few methods, this is, I think, a conservative method. And then you can evaluate, whether you would be able to meet the basic needs that you would need at retirement.
Okay.
But this is not a foolproof thing. It's one of many. Some, you should do it and not. Obviously, this information is out there on the net. Sometimes it can bring about a certain degree of anxiety, but that's what I'm saying. It's not a foolproof method. Some of it is very conservative, so it must be taken with a pinch of salt. But I think, just in general, with the access to the internet, there is a lot of information out there. Obviously, you need to sift through it, but I think it's quite good that there is quite a bit of information and these indicators are out there.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate this. Thank you very much. It's the reason I'm saying this is because the man in the street might not have a financial planner accessible, right? And we just need to make things as accessible as possible to a wide range, a diverse audience. Okay, so saying to them that this is available on the internet and this discovery link that you give us is a way to go. So thank you very much, yourself and Prabodh. By Reena Ben, your comments, please.
Namaste. So retirement savings projections are based on individuals starting to save as early as possible, like just after studies, 22 years old or thereabouts, right? And retirement savings are based on a percentage of your annual income. So for instance, if you look at your budget and you say, I can afford 5,000 Rand, sounds like a lot of money, or even 10,000 Rand, but if you're earning 120,000, something like that, that is actually a drop in the ocean, and you're never going to be able to retire comfortably if you do that. So therefore, retirement savings should be a percentage of your salary. Now, individuals should work on that percentage of their income, because that's how the tax system works. You get deductions and advantages based on your level of income. So you do need to work with a planner and make sure that you're maximizing how much you put in based on your level of income. So by the time you two retire later on, you've saved according to your standard of living, and he's saved according to his level of income. And throughout the marriage, you worked within that combined household income, and that's how you're able to retire. And withdrawing at any point is the worst thing to do, because your money starts compounding. The earlier you start, it's compounding. So if you look at your returns on every annual statement, it's like somebody's paying you an extra income, but you only start seeing that benefit after like 10 years. So you've got to be really, really patient, but stick to the percentage. Like, I think it's about 15% of your income needs to go to savings every month, and forget that you put that money in there. You can cut out all the extracurricular activities for the kids, but stick to your retirement plan.
Okay, thank you very much.
Freedom.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Reena. It's very valuable. Thank you so much. I want to really go to this comment. Arti Ben says, problems also arise when one spouse does not divulge his or her salary to the other. There has to be honesty or transparency. And we come back to this issue around finance. And I think that that's a huge problem. Does anybody, Arti Ben, do you want to elaborate on that? What does it mean? What has your experience been in the community, perhaps on this particular point? if at all, or anybody?
No, Sarah, I haven't come across any cases. I just made that statement because, you know, when you're talking to couples, and then especially after marriage, when they, you know, when they have problems and they start discussing things, then you get the one spouse saying to you very confidentially that this is what's happening. So that's what I just picked up from there, you know, and I thought people should know about this.
I think this is really that's a really valuable comment, especially when you go back to the vows that Kiran mentioned right at the start, and the primary value is honesty. It's about being honest, and that we take we take these vows in public, and then we make a commitment in public that we will be honest to each other. And when you do not divulge your salary, or then that clearly is a contravention of that particular vow. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you all for your comments. I'm just handing over to Jay, who's just going to summarize our strategies going forward, and in terms of the vows, and how then can we help couples improve their communication and towards a more fulfilling relationship. Is Jay not with us? Jay, you with us, right? Yeah. Jay, over to you.
I'm back. We have load shedding, so the connection.
Okay, thank you. Just if you can just...
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. There's such valuable information that came out, and we can just go on and on and on, because there's so much we can learn from each other. So as we know, marriage is about coming together of two individuals. Hello?
I think we're losing you, Jay.
Oh, can you hear me?
We are losing you. Can you just let's try again. If not, can you just summarize in the chat?
Okay. I'm going to be quick. I don't know if you can hear me.
The strategies going forward. Are you there?
So basically, strategies. Yeah, I am. I think I'll put it on the chat, because there's quite a few. Because of the load shedding, the connection is very bad. But the main thing is communication, talking to each other, having family time, having time as a couple, having those date nights, making time for each other. I mean, we're always going to be busy. There's always going to be things to do. And an important thing that came out is discussing the roles, discussing who does what when. And that's all about communication, listening to each other, knowing what each person in the family, what are their interests, what are their hobbies, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, and working together in partnership. Whether it comes to cooking, whether it comes to cleaning the house, whether it comes to doing the laundry, but it's about working together in partnership. Obviously, life is demanding, but let's not forget our values. Let's not forget where we came from. Let's not forget what is important to us and where we want to go in a few years time. So a few things that came out was understanding and commitment. And again, it's about how do we understand each other? Again, it's talking to each other. Let's be grateful. Let's be grateful for what we have. Let's be grateful for what we've achieved. Even with regards to the children, listening to them, including them in our discussions, but obviously, in those family discussions. Financial planning, which is very valuable, that needs to start at the onset of the relationship, just prior to marriage. But honesty and transparency, I think Artiben mentioned that. Honesty and transparency is the key. I'm trying to rush because of the network, but I think that's just in a nutshell what we took out of here, the communication.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Jay. We heard you loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you for the summary. Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. Varsha, can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming through clearly.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so I think we all heard Jay. I just want to say, before I just hand over to Kiran Bhai, you know, we must always go back to, so what brought us together must keep us together as a couple. And that's been my mantra when we started off.
Yes, I can hear you.
So okay, thanks, Jay. So, so like I was saying, as a couple, what brought us together must keep us together. And we should, as Jay says, we need to constantly go back, revisit our values, revisit what was the spark that brought us together, and try to maintain it. And we can only maintain it if we're honest, if we're transparent, if we still continue to be friends. And so, Kiran Bhai, I'm giving you the last word on this. Are you there, Kiran Bhai? Yep.
Yes, thank you, Serila Benji. A little bit of input from my side in terms of where we come from the religious sector and from the priesthood. I would just like to just say that firstly, the Women's Forum has raised a very important topic, and it is something that we need to constantly talk about and debate. The younger generation seems to be having a challenge. But a little bit of a marketing thing, especially for those that are here with us. You know that we have quite a few publications that have come out from Arya Samaj South Africa, and especially with the Ved Niketan. And this is something, because of your invite to this webinar, I was digging through some of the material that I have, and I want to share this with you. I'm sorry, but I would like to just share this with you. If people want a copy of this, it's called A Loving Token to the Bride. It's a father who writes a little message, and he writes a message to his daughter, but with a lot of information on how to fulfill not only her role, but the role of the husband and wife in a marriage. And I would just like to conclude, and my concluding remarks is that this marriage has to be blessed by all parents, elders, and relatives. You have been accepted into a new fraternity, given a special place and accorded a new status in society. But remember, we have, by gracing your marriage, pledged our support to you. It will be an honor to be of assistance to you. And in the success of your marriage lies the success of the institution of society. That is important. In it lies all the values that our religion, our culture, and traditions have upheld. By the solemn act will these virtues continue to be perpetuated. Blessed are you, blessed are all married couples, and blessed are our ancient seers and rishis for having given us the sacrament of marriage. Thank you, Benji.
That is so beautiful. Thank you, Kiran Bhai. There is a question in the chat to ask where can you actually get the book, a copy of this book. So I don't know, do we still have it in publication at the Arya Samaj? I'm not sure.
Yes, we do have copies. A Loving Token to the Bride. It was originally written by Swami Dikshanand, but Dr. Rambilas has edited it, and he's really added some important information to it. Thank you. It's called A Loving Token to the Bride.
Okay, so Jackie, that's it. If you can just contact the Arya Samaj South Africa, if you could just go onto our website, you'll have the contact details, and you might want to speak to Lekaji at the office and inquire around this, the book. I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much to all of you for making time to join us on this discussion. And I really would like to just now hand you over to Varsha, who will then pass the vote of thanks. But I think this is just the start of a year-long discussion on this particular topic. And so I hope that you'll join us on our following webinars. Thank you very much, Varsha.
Thank you, Cyrilla. As I pass the vote of thanks, you'll find a poll that appears on your screen. Please complete the poll for the Women's Forum. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to Pandit Sadhguru, who without any hesitation accepted our request to participate on this webinar. We are appreciative of your time and expert advice. Thank you, Pandit Sadhguru. Thank you to Dr. Ramklas for guiding today's discussions. It was most informative and extremely, extremely interesting. We extend our gratitude to Arya Samaj Administration and Rajesh Lakshman and Radio Hindvani, and to all of you who shared the invitation on the social media platform. I'd like to acknowledge the contribution of ladies of the Arya Samaj Women's Forum Executive, in particular, Dr. Ramklas, Jay Sheila, Kiran, and Sunitha. A special thank you to Shruti for designing the advert for today's event. In addition, I'd like to thank our techno-savvy assistant, Divya Ramklas, for putting the amazing video at the introduction and for flawlessly coordinating the technical aspect of our event. Thank you to the audience for making the time to discuss how to apply the wedding vows towards building a stronger, more fulfilling relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, please switch on your video so we can take a picture of us together. Be safe, be protected always. Thank you and goodbye.
All right, just before you go, Varsha, we had 100% response to all of the poll questions. Benefit from the discussion, 100% of the people said yes. In terms of would you attend part 2, 100% said yes. And would you like us to host a similar event? And 100% of the respondents said yes. So thank you very much for your participation on the poll. Okay, so please, if you can just switch on your video so we can take, oh, need to do my hair, to take a photo. Okay, who's doing the photos? Kiran, who's doing it? Okay, great, thank you. Got it?
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, so thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon and enjoy the rest of the week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Namaste. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Kiran. Bye.
Welcome.